Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you a run through of a lower body warm up. So today we're doing a lower body warm-up, starting with a little bit of skipping to raise the body temperature. You want to do approximately 5 minutes so that your body temperature rises to the observation of a light, mild sweat. I'm just going to do this with a trick rope, but you could do this with a speed rope, it really doesn't matter. I'm also doing it barefoot and in my toe spaces, but again, you can wear your shoes if you're more comfortable with that. To begin with, I'm going to start with a dynamic stretch using the PVC pipe to create an overhead lunge. I'm going to rotate it towards the side so that I'm also getting my hip flexor group into the mix. If you don't have a PVC pipe, you can simply just move your arms into the right position instead. I'm going to do approximately 5 reps per side 2 times. So the next thing I'm doing is a quick version of a deep lunge hip mobility routine. I have a longer version of this, but I just want to quickly move through the motions. So we're going into a deep lunge, so foot roughly in line with your knee, making sure that you're not hyperextending the low back and your leg behind you is in a mild hip flexor stretch, but not so much that it's actually causing you to tilt your hips or hyperextend your back. So we want to have control of our pelvis here, and to get comfortable, I'm just going to rotate in a semicircle motion on that side, and then I'm going to do approximately 5 rotations belly button towards the heel, and after that, I'm then going to try to go belly button away from the heel for approximately 5 reps. So you're basically getting all the muscles on the inside of your hips stretched, your hip flexors as well, and you're also actually incorporating a little bit of your QL and your core muscles. After this, I'm going to go into some quick dorsiflexion rocking. You can do anything between 5 to 20 reps, and if you find it hard to get into a dorsiflexion rocking position, you can actually use a little bit of weight. So you can actually use your whole body, which is pushing into the top leg and getting you deeper into dorsiflexion. One thing you want to be aware of is keeping your heel down so that you can really maximize that stretch. Then we're moving on to an active straight leg release so that we can get the hamstrings. This is also a nerve floss for sciatic pain, which is why I originally started doing it, and then I realized it's also a fantastic hamstring stretch. So as our leg comes up, we have our toes pointed towards the shin, and then we are pointing away, so pointing the toes and then coming back down, and we're going to do approximately 10 reps of these. Lastly, I'm going to do an adductor thoracic rotation so that I can get a adductor stretch as well as a thoracic rotation. This is a little bit more advanced, so if you find this uncomfortable, you can do a kneeling thoracic rotation or just the adductor part. But here I'm just simply getting onto my knee, getting into that adductor stretch and bringing my arm underneath myself and then reaching to the sky. And you'll notice that as well as your adductor stretching, as you rotate, you hit different areas of your leg. So moving on to the cars, I'm going to be doing standing hip cars to begin with so that I can also incorporate that external rotation. If you're doing hip cars, then you can't really get that external rotation. So I'm going to add that in, holding onto something for that block. If you find that you've never done cars before, controlled articular rotations, then you might find holding onto something like a block is a bit of a problem because it will basically not allow you to compensate that much. So it's not a big deal if you compensate, but you want to reduce that, which is why I'm using the block. And as you can see to begin with, I'm bringing my leg into external rotation, so I'm lifting my heel up and bringing the knee up. I've been doing this quite some time, so the key here is to actually keep from compensating in the low back. So if your low back and your hips are bobbing all over the place, then you're just simply compensating and not getting a true rotation in the hip. Instead, you can lower the range and lower the circle you're using. So for here, external rotation to come up, then we're coming around and out to the side of the body, and then I'm going into internal rotation and bringing my toes up and foot up to the side. By thinking about little toes up, it also helps you engage and actually get the internal rotation. Then I'm coming back behind my body into hip extension and then coming back into the starting position. So that hip extension part is a part where a lot of people compensate. So don't worry if you can't go that far back, as long as you are going as far back as you can control. Basically, we're then going back the way, so we're doing 3 complete rotations. Moving on, we're doing knee cars. So I did these quite quickly. You can actually hold onto your leg a little bit. You sit down on a chair if you find it's uncomfortable sitting on the ground. But what we're doing is we're just simply going to rotate the tibia, trying not to rotate the foot only. So it's easy to actually just visually see the foot moving, thinking that you're moving your tibia, but it helps if you just touch the top of your knee so you can feel the tibia move side to side. From there, we're going to rotate all the way in, straighten the leg as much as is comfortable, and then rotate all the way out, and then bring the leg back into knee flexion. One thing to note is a lot of people find it very hard to straighten the hamstring here, and there's absolutely no reason you have to. If you feel like you have to keep your leg more bent, that's fine. So what we're doing is 3 rotations each way on both sides. So next we're doing some activation drills. I'm just going to go through a hollow rock. There's many variations of this that you can use, but I'm just using the one that I'm comfortable with, focusing on keeping the ribs and hips really close together, really crunching in and squeezing so that I don't lose that connection between the ribs and hips. In other words, not allowing my ribs to flare or my low back to start compensating. This way I'm going to feel the core control and the burn as much as possible, and I'm going to rock until I basically can't hold that control anymore. I'm going to do 3 rounds until failure of form. I'm also then going to try to get the posterior chain to kick in. So I'm going to do glute bridges with knee towards chest in order to get a little bit more hip stability. So I'm coming up into a glute bridge, then I'm bringing the knee up towards my chest and bringing the leg then back down to the ground. In the meantime, that other hip might have slightly lowered, and what I want to do from there is when both feet are on the ground, I'm going to squeeze the glutes to come back up into a full glute bridge, and then I'm going to do another rep. So I'm going to do approximately 10 to 15 reps per side, as long as I'm feeling the glute and not the low back. If you find that you're feeling the low back, it could be that you are positioned incorrectly, your hips might be tilted, or you're simply doing too many reps. So think of having that posterior pelvic tilt, tucking under, squeezing the glutes, and go slow enough so that you can feel whether you're compensating when you're lifting the leg and bringing it back down. So again, 10 to 15 reps, 3 rounds, and then I'm ready for my lower body session. So say I'm doing a squat session, I'm then going to do approximately 2 sets of warming up with a light weight of this movement before I go into my working weight. I'll do this with all my major exercises for that day. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found that useful. If you did, please subscribe and comment below. Just to get my blood pumping, a little bit of blood. Body temperature raising.
You got this. Let's do it.
I can't. It's like I'm getting Tourette's now.
Right, you've got it.
All right. Okay, a second. Give me a second. Can't see you. Okay.
No, you can just...
Give me a sec. I'll get out of it. I'll get out of it. Okay. Funnier when he's like, his face is down there, and I know he's like.
Right. Okay. Let's do this.
All right. Okay, I got this.
Let's go. Quiet. All right. Yeah.
All right, we ready? Hey guys, so today we're doing a lower body warm-up, starting with a little bit of skipping to raise the body temperature.